Alright, so I just got done watching Prey this morning. Now let's talk about what I think about the movie and how it compares to the other films in the franchise. This is going to be my review with no spoilers. Okay, so the story is about Naru, a young woman who is part of the Comanche Nation. Growing up during a time when women are only seen as those who gather medicine to heal others, cooking, or taking care of children. But Naru has other plans for her life. She's been practicing her skills by throwing her axe at some trees, and even tries to hunt on her own by chasing after animals, and her dog, which helps her sometimes. She really wants to become a hunter like the other men in her tribe. Her brother Tab is seen as a great hunter by the other people. The film locations are really good and they fit in just well for the timeline of the story. If you focus on the music, you can see how well it connects with the moment, the atmosphere, and surroundings. There are parts in the movie where it can get somewhat emotional, but not to a grand scale. The amount of humor or comedy is very scarce in the film, and that's a good thing. I think there is room for some comedy in these films, but it should be kept to a minimum. Their main focus should be on keeping a serious tone in the film. Throughout the movie, you'll notice there's a few scenes that are throwbacks to a few events in the original film. Either if it's through something occurring to a character or through some dialogue. Once you see it, you'll see what I mean. When the story of the movie was revealed a long time ago, I think there were some fans that were upset over the whole narrative of a strong woman. But I think it was really okay, and it fits into the film just on that. I think it was the wording used back then that kind of got some people upset. It went something like this: a woman who goes against gender norms. And in this era of society, people take that wording in a different way. But if you watch the film, you can really connect with Naru and her story. She grew up only knowing how to heal and care for others, like most women are known to do in her tribe. But deep inside, Naru wants to be more than that. She wants to be brave, she wants to hunt, she wants to learn how to survive. It's really not a bad reason to have a woman take the lead role in a film. But if you complained about this, then compare it to Ellen Ripley of the Alien franchise, or how about Sarah Connor from Terminator? Why is it okay for fans to root for Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor in their lead roles, but when it comes to Naru in Prey, it's a different story, so some people take a fit over it. It's not like Naru came into the story being the ultimate hunter-warrior. You can see how she slowly learns to track, to hunt, and survive. Now, the film is not perfect at all. It does have a few things that did kind of bother me. For one, the other wild animals are full CGI. A few of them are actual predators. They move like they should, but some of them really stand out from the picture, and you can tell, oh yeah, that's CGI all the way. So I think they could have done a better job with those animals in the CGI format, at least to make them blend better with the picture so they don't stand out so obviously. The second thing I wasn't too fond of was the short battle scene between Naru and some other tribe person in the forest and the other faction, which are the French fur trappers. They probably rehearsed their fight scenes a lot, but it just seemed kind of tame in a way. It was like too scripted and it didn't really have an impact on me, at least in terms of being an actual fight. The pace of the movie is decent. It does not rush through things. It takes its time to build up each character in some way, just enough so you can get some backstory out of them. There's a few supporting characters that are added, but they're on screen for a small amount of time, and then they're taken out by the Predator. They fit in long enough just to be part of the story in some way, but in the end, the more bodies the Predator gets to rip apart, the better. At least for me. The Predator scenes take place during different times of the day, like the morning, night, and even through a dusty or foggy area, which you've seen in the trailer. Now, it looks pretty good, so they did a great job fitting him into any lighting with a camouflage effect, and the feral Predator itself, well, it's more slim, more lean, and agile. People talk about having a 4-pack of abs, a 6-pack, or an 8-pack, but damn, when you see the suit they made for the feral Predator, this thing has like a 12-pack of abs. It's insane. Okay, the action scenes, they are very well done. I like them, but the blood effects look CGI, kind of like how they were done in the AVP movie from 2004. That's what I can compare it to. There are some bloody scenes where it's just overdone with like buckets and like gushing of blood everywhere. So it is a gory film, but it clearly comes off as too much CGI. But some of you might like huge splatters of CGI blood, but to me, it just kind of made me laugh. The feral predator comes off as brutal in its methods against the humans. It's just overpowering and fun to watch the bodies pile up. No matter what they try, it seems like this predator has some tools that really help it deal with whatever happens. And this predator takes a lot of punishment throughout the story, but it just keeps on going. There are some injuries that are just so deep on its body that I have no idea how it's still able to use those limbs afterwards. But hey, it's just a movie. And if you've seen the trailer, yes, there is a bear scene, and my God, is it fun to watch. The trailer shows you only a portion of that scene, and it gets cut by a lot. You really have to see the entire scene for yourself. It's not that long, but you miss a lot of it from watching the trailer. Like, the good stuff is in the movie. You gotta check it out. Now, out of all the encounters the predator has with wild animals, that one is my favorite. It shows that no matter how strong predators appear to be physically, they do have their limits. And man, wow, that bear was really strong, but it does not have the fighting IQ that a predator has. I just love how that scene ended. You gotta see it to believe it. The weapons we see this predator use are mostly new, or at least were based off earlier weapons and then redesigned. If you're expecting new tools and weapons, then you're going to like what you see here. Some weapons will remind you of other things we saw in previous Predator movies, but they're changed to function in a different way. I also paid very close attention to the pain sounds the predator made when it got injured. They share a similar tone to what was previously heard before, but mixed to make it more original for this predator. But the way it screams and how it sounds is very good. The other character that does make a lasting impact on me is Tab. He's the brother of Naru. He lasts fairly long into the story and has a meaningful role. I really enjoy the action scene between him versus the predator. You might have seen the picture where he's on a horse wielding a predator weapon. Yeah, that leads into the scene I'm talking about. While this predator comes off as being very powerful, agile, and fast, it still shows vulnerability in some scenes. It's not always about being the strongest or the fastest, but also about being able to understand, observe, and outsmart your opponent. So that kind of tells you how the final battle will end in some way. However, I think this predator also has one major weakness. Just like all the hunters of the past, when they have an opportunity to defeat their final opponent, they wait. They prolong the moment instead of finishing them off quickly. That's really the only downside to these intergalactic hunters. They take too much pride when they're up against their final prey, and that usually leads to their downfall in most cases. It also tends to not really notice or hear some nearby enemies when you normally should, so that was kind of odd. What I mean by this is there's one scene where it has its biomask and you would think, okay, it can see in thermal vision, so why doesn't it see these enemies right there in front of it? You can't see it? I don't know why. So it kind of made no sense there. And there's another scene when there's something coming up behind the predator, and this thing makes a lot of noise. Any normal human would hear this coming up behind them, but for some reason, this predator did not even hear this thing behind him, and he gets caught off guard. So if you're looking for a Predator movie that has a good story, a decent cast of great actors, music that fits the serious tone, and a big body count for the hunter, then you should really check out this movie. I have to say that the entire team really did a fantastic job on this film. Dan Trachtenberg was a great choice for this movie, and he pulled it off. However, while some fans were saying that this is the best movie in the franchise, that is really just their own opinion. This movie is really good, but in my opinion, the original is still the best one. Predator 2 is in second place, so I would put Prey in third place. On a scale out of 10, I would give the movie maybe a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. It's that good. It has some flaws, but it's a very good movie. I've listed the reasons that brought the film's grade down a bit, and those were the overdone CGI animals, the amount of CGI blood was like from a hose or buckets in some cases. Yeah, it was overdone, but some of you might like that, and the fight scenes between human characters were a little off. Overall, I really did enjoy the film, and if you're a fan of The Predator, I think most of you will enjoy it also. But remember, this is just my review with my opinions. I'm a fan of the franchise just as much as anyone else out there. And in the end, it's really up to you if you want to watch the movie. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video where we talk about spoilers and everything else. I will leave you with this message. Are you ready for your katamiya?